Sigo con la campaña del Bomba in Flame. Estoy en el Palacio de Calandras, creo que se llama así, bueno, el palacio, la fortaleza, lo que sea, que han conquistado los señores estos del hielo, como se llamen, y estoy aquí con el príncipe Arandil, que me acompañaba en esta misión. Acabamos de matar a su padre, que estaba transformado, y ahora tengo que volver al campamento élfico, según parece. Voy a hablar con él, a ver qué me cuenta. Eso, me ha dicho que tiene que preparar un rito, no sé qué, para enterrar a sus padres y todo eso, y que me viene al campamento. Pues nada. Esto me intriga porque aquí parece como que puedo subir. Bueno, no creo, no, realmente no creo que... Además tampoco hay nada para cogerlo, si no tintinearía. Aquí no hay nada más, imagino que tengo que seguir por aquí. Espero que haya un atajo para ir a... Imagino que este camino será un atajo y conducirá... Pero aquí no puedo seguir. Aquí hay una puerta, pero no puedo abrirla. Eso, que conducirá a a las puertas que estaban al lado del campamento elfo, que no podía abrir. Imagino que llevarán ahí. Esto me mosquea, que aquí hay una puerta, pero no me da la opción de abrirla ni nada.
To wait for Arundel, not in his condition. The Dead Walkers will be scouring the city to find who killed their lich. We gotta get back to the camp fast.
We waste our time here. The fate of these people is sealed. The sole act that can defeat the necromancers is to take back the stolen energy of the world heart.
I decide what has to be done, with or without your agreement.
Eso, que no cula. Pues sí, me ha llevado a la puerta esa que no podía abrir. Así que estoy al lado del campamento directamente.
Nothing to report.
Pues vale.
Mercenary. The sentinels in the other group were killed by deadwalkers. And there's a group of undead on the road, stopping anyone from getting through.
I'll see what I can do.
Los centinelas del otro lado eran uno solo, pero bueno. Vale, pues eso, que la otra torre que he recuperado antes, que la han retomado los muertos.
So you're supposed to break the blockade? Good luck to you.
Vale. Así que nada, voy a ir a ello. Vale. Aquí imagino que han vuelto a poner el bloqueo que había. Tercera patrulla responsable del bloqueo. Eso, habían vuelto a poner un bloqueo aquí. Según parece. Y ahora tengo que recuperar la torre esa que he conquistado antes. Y que han reconquistado estos cabroncetes. Joder, un panegas, que bien. Tengo que matar al arquero el primero. Muérete rápido, pedazo de mierda, no sé por qué me da siempre esa mierda. Vale, debe quedar alguno. Un arquero. Vale, pues esto ya está hecho. Y ahora tendré que ir al campamento, ¿no? Voy a hablar de todas formas con el fueste que me ha dado la misión. A ver si tiene algo que contarme.
Well done, mercenary. Looks like you've been pretty effective. Raising this blockade and freeing the other tower is a job well done. Thank you.
De nada. Nada más, ¿no?
Nothing to report.
Vale.
Mercenary.
I'm leaving.
Mercenary, it is well that you are returned. A creature that seemed like a dead thing came. It claimed you had sent it.
Ah, sí, el tío de antes.
Yeah, he's a potential ally. Don't worry about it.
I fear I attacked him, and arrested him. He tried to talk to me, but I felt safer with it under guard, considering its,
Bueno, al menos lo cargó.
face.
Where is he now?
He is with the Red Scribes.
Perfect.
Mercenary.
I'm leaving.
Vale, voy a guardar. Bueno, antes que nada voy a vender al herrero este de aquí.
Well, you again. Can I help you?
I have some questions I'd like to ask you.
Y a ver si me cuenta algo, ¿no?
Let's talk about... Show me what you have to sell.
Alas, not much.
Bueno, no me interesa lo que quería vender, más que nada. Voy a vender esto. También. Las botas estas tampoco me gustan, así que las vendo. Los guantes... Tendría que mirarlo, pero no me hacen especial gracia. Yo creo que los voy a vender también. La armadura esta es mejor que la que llevo, pero no me gusta. Así que la voy a vender también. Esta no sé si quedármela porque la verdad es que es chula esta. Pero bueno, es bastante peor que la que tengo, o sea que... Sí, es que es bastante peor. Nada, pues la vendo también. No, es que es chula, igual la uso más adelante. Me la voy a quedar. Vale, y lo que sí que igual le compro... Los guantiletes estos igual. Que me dan resistencia a la magia. Pues sí, los voy a comprar. Igual le pongo este. Aunque... más que nada por estética. Bueno, pues le voy a poner estas que me gustan. Aunque pocos ataques de fuego me van a hacer por aquí, pero bueno. Bueno, pues voy a hablar con el esqueleto este.
I need to ask you something. We found a strange object in a ruined temple. It's a sphere, probably magic.
Is it gray? Does it give off heat? Perhaps it vibrates slightly when you hold it in your hand?
Yeah, that's it. What does it do? Do you know what it is?
You imagine it's a coincidence that I described it so precisely? And you would be correct. However, based on this information, I'm able to deduce that it is a tear of the world heart. Alas, I have no idea what they're for. Have you thought of trying looking in books?
Well, there's a library in the city. I suppose I could...
Excellent notion. Look for a book about relics. The book called Living Lava is reputed to contain a great many rare facts about these sort of objects. If you plan to use the tear for something other than a paperweight, I suggest that you find that book and study it.
Vale.
Who are you exactly?
I am Mathras, immortal and unique.
Right. So why aren't you out there hanging out with your Deadwalker friends?
First of all, I don't have any pals. I'm a little too old for that. Secondly, I find your implication that I'm associated with them most unpleasant. I have nothing in common with those dead things. I've been around for over 6,000 years, and I'm still very much alive, thank you. I admit this body is looking a little worn.
6,000 years old. Hey, you don't look a day over 250.
You flatterer. I did, however, lose a toe this morning. Nonetheless, these Deadwalkers are simply corpses as they're animated by magic. Whereas I am an immortal spirit who changes bodies when they wear out. There's absolutely no similarity.
Es espantoso, no está mal pensado.
But that's awful. You steal bodies?
Alas, voluntary donations are hard to come by. If you hear of any, do let me know. I'm on the lookout. But if it reassures your delicate sensibilities, I generally choose dead bodies.
I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Vale.
Why did you come to Carolthas?
Why not? There's one thing you should know about eternity. It can be rather dull. So I do my very best to be in the right place at the right time. The place where it's the most fun.
Fun? You think this is fun?
Well, distracting then, if you prefer. What do you expect? I'm just so bored. The End of the World is a show I wouldn't want to miss.
What do you know about the Deadwalkers?
Apart from the fact that they're an incongruous mass of corpses with appalling bad taste that are animated through the use of magic, nothing. I can tell you that the power necessary for their creation, and to keep them working, is far beyond the magical abilities of any of your contemporaries. And since it's obvious they're incapable of any decision-making or strategy, they are clearly being controlled from a distance. All of which suggests the Ice Lords who are controlling these things are rather powerful. Something, I grant you, quite difficult to believe when one saw them start out at the same pitiful level of incompetence as their brothers, the Red Scribes.
In 6,000 years, have you ever seen a situation as desperate as this one?
Honestly? Well, no. You are, as you might put it, fucked. Or at least the mortals seem to be. But you carry something within you that may modify things somewhat. And it is this seemingly insignificant detail, this flap of a butterfly's wing, which may eventually change the apparently manifest destiny of the world as you know it. This demon, as you call it, has never before walked the earth. Neither he, neither it, nor any other of its kind. If they had, I would know of it, believe me. Consequently, and in spite of the evident futility of such a sentiment, there may be grounds for you to feel a slight glimmer of hope. That is, of course, if it is your desire to avert disaster.
Well, that's comforting. What happened to the Elven King?
I think he was simply lacking in strength of will and determination. They transformed him into an arch-lich. It's a particularly delicate and extremely dangerous magical process that could only be performed by an Ice Lord. It can only be performed on an elf, and then only one who is desperate to live.
How so?
Elves have many flaws, but most of them do have a very profound sense of duty. If an elf believes he is going to be tortured to make him reveal the secrets of his people, for example, he can literally will himself to die. It would seem that this king was desperate to continue living at any price, rather than dying with honor. That is what allowed them to turn him into an arch-lich.
Do you have any idea about what I am becoming?
In all my long lives, I've never seen your like. Even the term demon seems to be designed to cause confusion. I have seen real demons when I lived as a war drum player amongst the dwarves.
Dwarves are just legend. You're yanking my chain.
It would be churlish to mock someone when it is so easy. Thus the dwarves did exist, and I was once one of them. They used to use these little creatures, barely the size of toddlers, in their enormous forges. They were little red creatures with tiny horns and a wicked air about them. You see, they were able to survive in the flames. The dwarves called them demons. You look a little like one of them, only much bigger. And you have an even more pronounced affinity with fire. I'm reserving judgment about the wicked attitude. I believe this affinity with flames is no coincidence. You are clearly a response, a weapon, and your purpose is to face the Ice Lords. It is entirely possible that you are the fruit of an attempt to rebalance the forces of nature. Alas, I have no idea which entity is behind all of this.
How are things with Sybil?
What a charming young girl. Her hunger for knowledge reminds me of myself in the distant past, when I was young and still living in my first body. I imagine that if I still felt any physical desires, I would happily give her a good few hours of one-on-one experimental physical training. And it seems to me that she's rather more interested in getting your attention. At any rate, she is by far the most interesting red scribe I've met in the past 300 years, though I fear that may not be much of a compliment, given their legendary incompetence.
Vale.
I want to ask you a couple of questions. Talk to you later.
Investigar sobre el artefacto. Ir a buscar a la biblioteca. Vale. Pues nada, voy a seguir hablando con esta gente.
What can you tell me about Mathras?
He is a most unusual being. Do you realize he has been alive for over 6,000 years?
Don't you get the impression that he's just talking bullshit?
Even though at first sight, such a long existence sounds impossible, he has knowledge of history that makes it very difficult for us to doubt his word. And his appearance speaks for itself, if I may be so bold.
It's true that he does look a bit ripe.
As far as I understand it, he regularly changes his bodies. As soon as the one he's taken starts wearing out, he procures a new frame. What is really fascinating is that he is the kind of undead that was previously unheard of. We had no idea there was a being able to transfer their soul from one body to another in order to keep living. Remember that his knowledge could very well turn our vision of mortality upside down. And of course he might provide unhoped-for help against the lords of the frozen shadows.
What did I tell you? Once they've recovered from the shock of my somewhat shriveled appearance, everybody thinks I'm highly useful.
He could really help us out. If we could only be sure he wasn't working for the enemy.
You insult me yet again. Joining forces with a band of apprentice sorcerers with a thirst for power would be unworthy of my condition. And didn't I already tell you how to enter the city?
Some basic information that got you into our camp. That seems pretty clever to me.
Really? What would be in it for me? Not that the company of these scribes is unpleasant, but I doubt that our simple little discussions will affect the course of the war.
I can confirm that he hasn't ever been alone. But you look a bit preoccupied with something. Am I right?
The commander says there's a traitor in the camp, and our new friend is obviously a prime suspect. What if he can read minds?
Well, I think that the commander is wrong. We've spoken for a long time with Mathras, and I don't believe for a second that he's got anything to do with your problem. It's obviously very difficult to detect telepathic communication, but as far as I can see, there's nothing to indicate he's capable of it.
Very well. I'll just have to trust you. Let's talk about something else. Do you have a moment? I wanted to ask you a few things. Let's change the subject.
Vale, no tiene nada más que decirme.
Later.
A ver este.
Greetings, mercenary. What can I do for you?
I'll be going now.
Tampoco. Este es el de la piedra.
So, did you find a book on what we found?
I figured I'd ask Mathras, seeing as how he seems to know everything about everything. He says it's a tear of the world heart. He told me about a book that talks about it, but I have to go and get it.
So, did you find a book on what we found?
I haven't gone to the library yet.
They attacked the wrong person. How dare they condemn our king to such a macabre fate? My father. It's time for us to repay the Deadwalkers in kind. I want to see them destroyed, so not a single one of those dead ever dare set foot in our streets again. We're going to launch a massive assault to take back our city. It is time to turn the tide of this war. Vulcan, we will need you, and your extraordinary abilities. We have to send a small group to open the city gates. I'm counting on you. I know that you can be stealthy and incredibly effective. A few soldiers will be going with you. This is our best chance. Black Frost doesn't seem to be here anymore, and most of his forces went with him. But before we launch the assault, we need to strengthen our army. I've been told there are prisoners in the city. If we free those soldiers, we can add them to our ranks. We're also going to need to get our equipment in as good shape as possible. We're fortunate that our smith has survived. Let us hope he'll be able to provide us with everything we need. But it's better to make sure.
Thou knowest that Black Frost's palace will take us to the world heart. Yet still thou dost waste thy time in vain battles. Thy stupidity knows no bounds.
Vulcan, I need your help.
What, sorting books? Observing swamp critters? You don't think I have better stuff to do right now?
That's not fair. I'm not stupid. I understand that what is most important now is the fight, and our soldiers...
The Freeborn Blades will do just fine. Don't you worry about that.
Not them, the other human soldiers.
What's wrong?
I'm not sure we can count on them. They've already lost the war. They're only staying here because the elves are protecting them. But they've got no fight left in them. They have to believe they can win. They have to fight alongside the elves and the Freeborn Blades. I've tried talking with them, but they treat me like a child. Maybe they would listen if you would talk to them.
Me? Most regular soldiers don't have time for mercenaries.
They just need to get their spirit back, boost their morale. I'm sure you could find some words to help them.
Vale. Lo de liberar a los soldados de la ciudad ya lo he hecho.
Vulcan, come here. I need to talk to you about something. While you were in the city, the Deadwalkers apparently began stirring. Several scouts have disappeared without a trace. They can't just have been ambushed by chance. Someone must have given their roots to our enemies. I'm afraid we have a traitor among us. Though if that's the case, I don't understand why we haven't been attacked by the Deadwalkers yet. What's really troubling is that these disappearances pretty much correspond to your arrival here, which means that your living dead friend is the prime suspect. Even if it's just as possible that it's one of the Red Scribes, or even one of your people.
And why can't it be one of your people?
Why would he do that? And above all, why would he wait until now to betray us?
Quizá por no dormir causa, por desesperación, porque el príncipe ha vuelto. No tengo paciencia para explicaroslo. Vale.
With your army decimated, and hearing that the king's dead, a soldier might really decide that the war's lost, that there's no hope. Day after day, hoping for a miracle, that gives way to the darkest of miseries. And in the end, he's had it, and wants it over and done with.
Maybe. Regardless, we have to find the spy and silence him. You have demonstrated your effectiveness and discretion. Can you take care of this?
No creo que haya ningún traidor, vale. Sí, alguno habrá seguro.
Of course, I'll look into it.
Toda misión secundaria, imagino. Vale, de todas formas me fío más del no muerto ese que del comandante este. Pero bueno. Estoy viendo las misiones que me han dado. Hablar con Baldwin, jefe de los desertores de la Alianza. Tengo que volver también a la ciudad, según parece, a eso, a rescatar más prisioneros y bueno, eso, que tengo unas cuantas misiones secundarias nuevas, según parece.